Patriots, comrades, populists, I want to first welcome you by saying, Viva Populist Revolution, Viva, the fight will never die, peace and power be unto you, Viva Populist Revolution, Viva. This video is directed to Vladimir Putin, who I would say is the greatest world leader this world has right now. Vladimir Ilyich Putin. Donald Trump isn't the greatest. Now, I'm not completely abandoning Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has done a lot of things that are so good. The bad that he's doing right now can't be forgiven, but it's not enough for me to completely abandon him. But I can't give him the world's best leader that we have right now. That goes to Putin. Vladimir Putin, the great nationalistic populist leader who fights to get nationalist, populist individuals in power throughout the world. Leaders who will get us out of things like NATO, get us out of the European Union, all these sort of things. Putin, the stalwart leader of populist nationalism. I'm reaching out to him, and I am asking him to come out and to announce that he is going to protect the people, the Islamic Republic of Iran, which the United States has just conducted an operation which killed one of their top generals. That's what I'm doing, and I'll tell you why. First of all, if you even feel the need to cringe at what I just said, then you are not a free thinker. You are just as brainwashed. You are just as led. You are just as pathetically and violently and sycophantically subdued by the mainstream media that you can't even comprehend someone like the commander-in-chief of the Arana Nation. And maybe the forum isn't for you. But for those of you who are at least open to hearing something beyond the White House talking points and the Western media, I want you to stay tuned. The United States has said that they went after Iran's top general because Iran backed the riots against the United States Embassy in Baghdad. And Trump was going around saying that this will not be another Benghazi. First of all, America did that to itself. If they hadn't gotten rid of Brother Gaddafi, there wouldn't have been a Benghazi, and Ambassador Stevens would still be alive today. That's what happens when you get rid of a leader and you get rid of a government and you try to nation build when you don't know a damn thing about the country or the people or the culture or anything like that. You get a quagmire, you get mess. And that's what America's trying to do with Iran now. Now, first of all, I want to say, what proof do they have that Iran was responsible for the riots against the U.S. Embassy? We have been led into wars with misinformation regularly, and a lot. This century, I mean, even past centuries, we won't even get into the Gulf of Tonkin and all that stuff. We'll talk about the recent stuff. Let's start with the very beginning. George Bush and Dick Cheney sent Americans to Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction. There were never any weapons of mass destruction. Many people died in Iraq for a lie, for a mistruth. And I would say it was actually a lie. I think they knew. But I think there were darker forces being played here. You have to remember that a lot of these Middle Eastern wars are to protect the Zionists and the Saudi Arabians, or either or. That's what a lot of these Middle Eastern wars have been about these days. And what happened? Iraq was destabilized, Saddam was gone, And now we see a flurry of refugees from Iraq coming into the West because the system is so corrupted and destabilized and destroyed. They have to leave their homeland because they have nowhere else to go. And we can bitch and complain about refugees all we want, but if we could stop going into these people's country and destabilizing it in the first place, when really the only thing they're trying to do is protect themselves from American and Western imperialism, we wouldn't have the refugee crisis that we have today. And then America tries to go into Iraq and nation build. Iraq created ISIS instead. Iraq is less free than it ever was. Now let's go to Libya. Brother Gaddafi. One individual who really cared about his people. Libyans, though not having a perfect standard of living, had a standard of living better than most African nations, especially most North African nations. Brother Gaddafi was destroyed, murdered. What happened to Libya? A quagmire. Libya went to being one of the nations with the best standard of living in North Africa to being a country which enslaves black Libyans and Libyans in general. And now let's start with Syria. Syria was bombed up by Donald Trump's Tomahawk missiles. And that was the first sign when I realized that maybe Trump was leading us on when he said that he was not going to be a non-interventionist, when he was criticizing the war with Iraq, when he was criticizing, going after Russia, trying to make peace with Russia and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to protect himself from the neocons, but, somebody who is not willing to do what they want to do. And I do believe that Trump is a non-interventionist at heart, but somebody who is so cowed down by the neocons and the neoliberals who can't have the guts to say, I'd rather die than be locked down by you people, can't be considered the greatest leader of all time. He can't be. I mean, look, think about it. All the great people of the world, Jesus, JFK, all these different, Martin Luther King, all these different people, they died doing what they believed was right. Why can't Trump come out and say, I would rather die? I'd rather you killed me. I'd rather you locked me up. I'd rather you send me to the gallows. I'd rather you hanged me. In the pursuit of making peace with the nationalist, populist, revolutionary state of Russia, with stopping these foreign wars with only benefit central banksters and Zionists and Saudis. I'd rather die than do all that stuff. But instead, he keeps cowing himself down. Syria. We attacked Syria, and thank God Russia was good enough to protect Syria against the Americans. That's why the Syrian leader is still there today. And I say, God bless Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. We should send all them Syrian refugees back to Syria. They have a great leader. He loves the people of Syria. And we have to be suspicious of anyone coming out of Syria criticizing the hell out of Syrian President Assad, because the only people I can see as an educated person who wants to attack Syria or Bashar is somebody connected to ISIS or something like ISIS. Because if there's one thing that Syria, as Bashar al-Assad is good at, is killing terrorists. Now, we attacked his nation with Tomahawk missiles and accused him of gassing his own people. And there are multiple United Nations organizations which have come out and said there is no proof Syrian President Bashar al-Assad gassed his own people. How the hell could you make up something about that, about another human being? How the hell could you do that? How the hell can you do that? All because you want to try and start a war with the man. He didn't do it. And now we're supposed to believe that Iran was behind the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Well, I want to know where's the proof. I want to know where the proof is. Because before you send me and people who look like me and people who live like me out to war, because that's the people who are going. All you middle-class boomer neocons out there praising for war like you did in Iraq, like you did in Libya, and like you're doing now. Y'all are sitting in your houses, stuffing yourself to death, getting fat. You have never seen a war zone. Your children haven't seen a war zone, and they're never gonna see a war zone. But you're praying for some kid in Detroit or Harlem, or even in some trailer park out there who's got nothing and who has got no hope other than to join the army, to go join the army and get himself killed out there in Iran. For what? I want to see some proof before you do that. And by the way, even if Iran was behind the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, I want to ask, this is what I want to know. What the hell is America still doing out there in the Middle East controlling Iraqis' oil? Why the hell are they doing this? Now, first of all, we've got plenty of oil in the United States. Well, whatever happened to drill, baby, drill, and all this sort of stuff? Why the hell do we need a foreign country's oil? I thought we were supposed to be independent from foreign oil. And now we're taking people's oil and pretending like that's the 51st state? Let me tell you something. If America were to come to my country and take my resources, I'd tear up their embassy too. I'd tear up their embassy too. Now, if you're talking about the U.S. Embassy in London or Berlin or Paris or something, and you got a couple of French people or English people attacking the American Embassy in London, then yeah, I support America blowing up the top general and they blow up Buckingham Palace, blow up 10 Downing Street, blow up Big Ben. If British people attack the American Embassy, yeah, that's tear them up. But you can't play the victim against the people of Iraq when you are literally colonizing their country over a war that you shouldn't have been in. Don't give me that the winner gets the spoils. You shouldn't have been in a war with them in the first place. They had no weapons of mass destruction. So yeah, they're kind of pissed off with you because you tore up their country. You got rid of Saddam, who was not a perfect person, but you got rid of him, and now the country's even worse off than it was with him. And now you're controlling their resources? Damn right they're going to tear up your embassy. You better, damn right they're going to tear up your embassy. So I'm calling on Vladimir Putin to come out and say he's going to protect Iran. I've had enough of this neocon, neoliberal crap. I've had enough of it. And while we're at it, let me just talk to you guys about somebody named Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Tulsi's running to be president of the United States for the Democrats. And while I'm still not ready to endorse her for president, because a lot of her domestic ideas are very liberal, whether it's gun control, taxes, all that stuff. I am ready to endorse her to be the Democrat nominee. And I think she's probably the only Democrat on that list of Democrats who could defeat Trump. Biden ain't going to do it. Cory Booker ain't going to do it. Elizabeth Warren isn't going to do it. Amy Klobuchar isn't going to do it. Pete Buttigieg isn't going to do it. None of those people are going to defeat. Michael Bloomberg isn't even going to do it. Even though people say he's a good chance. He's probably one of the worst to do it. Michael Bloomberg? People in New York City don't even like Michael Bloomberg. Give me a break. So she's probably the only person who could defeat Trump. Now, am I still going to vote for Trump? Probably. And that's partly because I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is going to get the nomination. But also because, as I said, he has done a lot of good things as president. Things that are so good that the things that he's doing that are wrong and that I disagree with, I can't abandon him. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. But I am disappointed in this. And if there's war with Iran, then I will heavily and hardly consider, I will very much consider going third party or drafting Tulsi Gabbard or even supporting her. I mean, I don't like the fact that she's she's for more gun control, but she wants to stop the non-interventionist wars. She's not suffering completely from Trump derangement syndrome. She voted present in the impeachment thing. She knows that thing is a load of nonsense. She went after Obama when he refused to call it Islamic terrorism. She said, yeah, damn right it's Islamic terrorism. What do you think it is? Is it Care Bear terrorism? It's Islamic terrorism. And she wants to legalize marijuana. So she is somebody who I could get behind. But for now, this is the Arana